Hey guys, another great question. I mean, this is a very general question, but I mean, I can see why people are very interested. Not only in me, but a lot of people who started in the commercial real estate or investment. So, the question is, I have a question for the group about how you all got started in the industry. Personally, for me, I fell into the industry by accident. So when I was in college, I always thought I was going to be a finance manager, doing investment banking, whatnot. I graduated during pretty bad recession. I graduated in '02, so really didn't have a lot of jobs. So it was going to be accounting, or I interned for a stock company. So they gave me a job, so I became a stockbroker for a couple of years, and I thought that was gonna be my platform to go into IB. IB stands for investment banking, mergers and acquisition, to go work in New York. But I found that I did not like the industry. That doesn't mean I still don't trade stocks and have investments, but it just didn't really, it was very mundane. It was just the same thing day after day. Pick up the phone call and let me buy 1,000 shares of Intel. Let me buy 500 shares of XYZ. So it wasn't really fulfilling. So I fell into the role with real estate through a martial arts class. I was taking kendo class. And I met someone there where I was making decent money. I was like, hey, man, I want to buy a house. So I want to get my real estate license. That tells you how much I knew about real estate, because when you buy a house, you don't pay commissions. So it didn't really matter. But they introduced me to a COO of a large uh, real estate company in Southern California. And I interviewed with him because he was in kendo class with me as well. And he thought I was very bold and young and stupid, because when I met him, I was talking about how I want to learn the industry. And we walked out together, and he had a Porsche GT3. I was like, bro, let me drive that car. He looked at me like, this guy is crazy. I was like, don't worry about it. It's a stick. I know how to drive stick and manual, so don't worry about it. So I think he liked that. He wanted to get my resume. Fast forward 2 weeks, I gave my notice at the brokerage and joined this organization. I started in operations. So what that means was I started managing Class A and Class B office assets. So I was a property manager, assistant property manager. So I was doing the grunt work, learning from the bottom up, dealing with building problems, HVAC, no heating, parking, the electricals, managing tenant collection. So essentially property management. And really easy way to do property management is you collect rent, you pay bills, and you fix it. That kind of sums it up. So I always loved Lego growing up. And when I got to do my first tenant improvements, it was a mortgage company, as you know, back in 2005 is when I really started real estate. Mortgage companies just popped up everywhere. So my first task was to do this 1,500 square foot mortgage company who wanted carpet and paint, and they need to move in as soon as possible. So I was able to do the renovation quickly, and they moved in. I got to see the end product. It was like an old piece of crap space that's been vacant for like 3 years. And for it to be transformed to where people was working, really thought that was amazing process. So I fell in love with real estate at that point. I thought I was going to stay at the company for maybe a year or two, learning the business, but I ended up staying for 6 years. And I was very fortunate at the time when real estate was doing good, doing really well. I moved up fairly quickly to VP, and I managed over 1.1 million square feet, about 12 properties, and I started my career that way. In 2011, of course, the 2008 crash happened. It was a tough time, but during the tough time, I think it builds a lot of character. You learn a lot more because you're dealing with more issues. The more issues you have, you're going to learn more about the field that you're in, and you become subject matter expert. So when I left 2011, through referrals and relationship, I got into private equity. And private equity, which I had no idea about. That kind of opened me up to see different aspect of the business of real estate. It wasn't just managing, a 200,000 square foot, a 400,000 square foot building. Now they're bringing in real money from institutions, pension companies, and sovereign wealth funds. And now they're raising funds, 500 million. We're buying assets in Chicago and New York. That's $700 million, things like that, where it's real money. And for a young kid, who grew up with no money from humble beginning, that's a lot of money. So there I worked a lot. Private equity shops expect to work 70, 80, 90 hours a week. You're going to get paid okay money. It wasn't the best money, but it was my paid MBA, right? I could have got an MBA. I didn't want to go. a lot of the people I talked to that I needed to change job. That's why I moved on to private equity, got acquisition. So I started doing investment work, underwriting deals, interviewing brokers, and getting really at the granular level of an investment side. And traditionally, like if you really look at the investment side, most of the investment analysts or VP of investments, they go through the private equity or investment side. They come from Goldman, they come from Morgan Stanley, Meseref, they come from Tishman, Blackstone. That's where they get their training. So I was competing with the highest caliber people. And for me, I'm a very competitive person, so I hate to lose. So that means I had to outwork people. If someone's working 60 hours, I'm going to work 70 hours. Someone works 70, I'm going to do 80. That's where I became competitive and garnered a lot of knowledge. So we were, purchasing Class A buildings in New York. We're building clubs, hospitality, hotels, mixed use projects. So I'm not going to go into all the details of each deal because I stopped NDAs on some of them. But I think overall transaction value went up greatly. So as of today, working with that firm I left and other family offices in Southern California, I think my transaction volume is about $3.5 billion AUM. AUM stands for asset under management. So that's just my background. And I think the vision for me why I'm doing this video and to teach, because I was never afforded this opportunity. And if I share some of the insight for people who are curious, who wants to get into this field, if I could share and give you more tools and resources, become better analyst, better investor, I think it makes a better world, right? We need more qualified people to be able to not make money for rich people or funds that's all good. Like Blackstones of the world, BlackRock. Do they need more money? No. But if you can give access, give them knowledge to people who share the same value as you, I think that's a win. So that's why I started this a little late in my career and at my age, so I can kind of share my experience and some of the knowledge I was afforded by my mentors and my supervisors. And that's why I'm doing this video. And hopefully I can be able to transfer some of this insight to you.